Some stories aren't just stories, they're warnings. They're truths they tried to bury behind birthday posts and anniversary captions. This is one of those stories. When my silence became too loud to ignore. When loving him meant erasing myself. I didn't cry forever. I learned. I moved differently. And I made him remember the woman who built the life he tried to forget. This is my story. And he never saw any of it coming. It started with love, like most lies do. We met in a coffee shop near the university. Daniel was in scrubs, exhausted, broke, and 22 credit hours deep into his second year of medical school. I had just accepted my second job, managing HR full-time and picking up weekend shifts at a wellness clinic. Saving for my own dreams I hadn't dared to say out loud yet. He wasn't flashy or romantic, but he was brilliant. Confused and kind, in a way that made you want to protect him. I remember the first time he said, "I don't know if I'll make it through med school." And I said, "Then I'll hold you up." And I did. For 5 years. Rent, me. Groceries, me. Car repair, textbooks, tuition gaps, mental breakdowns on his test days. All me. He called me his anchor. He said, not many women would ride for a man with nothing. And I wore that like a badge. For 5 years, I postponed every part of my own progress to pour into his. I skipped school, took night shifts, held back on promotions at work so I could be available for the things his life needed, but never seemed to return. During his last semester, he said he wanted a quiet graduation. No party. Just us, he said. Let's stay home, order takeout, and rest. I didn't argue. I never did. I bought a balloon anyway, a little one with Dr. Daniel on it. Cooked his favorite dinner, bought a card that said, "Our future starts now." He came home late. No dinner apology, no smile. Just a man with tired eyes and a quiet voice. He said, "There's something I need to say." I thought he was going to tell me he booked a celebration trip, a spa day I deserved. He pulled a document out of his bag. I blinked once. Twice. The words petition for divorce floated like fog. No explanation, no tears. He said, "I don't feel the same, I haven't, in a while." In a while. Like it was normal to keep accepting packed lunches, car insurance covered in my name, back rubs after 30-hour shifts, all while planning to leave. I asked him, why now? He said, it was always going to be now. And that was when I knew. He didn't want to succeed with me. He just needed someone to shovel to success, so he wouldn't get dirty before the gold. He told me to keep the apartment. The apartment where I paid rent on time for 5 years. Like he was being generous. That night, I laid in our bed, alone, blanket up to my chin, and stared at the ceiling like God was going to blink back with answers. He never did. But my heartbeat, it did something unusual. It didn't race. It slowed. And in that stillness, I felt it. The flame. The one they fear when a woman rises quiet instead of crying loud. I didn't respond right away. I let the words hang in that bedroom air, like smoke after fire. He slipped out the door around midnight. I heard his suitcase wheels on the floor, rolling away like my years with him meant nothing but a line item on his tax return. The next morning, I woke without tears. I got dressed, logged into our bank account, and started paying myself back. Every automatic payment in his name. Paused. Spotify, gas card, gym membership. Gone. Apple storage upgrade, not anymore. Someone always thinks you'll stay sad long enough for them to move on in peace. He forgot who built the peace. I gathered receipts, rent payments, grocery bills, cosign loans, health insurance add-ons, Uber receipts where I paid when he couldn't. I printed every statement, loaded a USB file. Then I called a lawyer. She asked me 2 questions. Do you have proof? Do you want justice or revenge? I said, justice with poetic energy. We built a timeline, no slander, no games, just numbers. He thought divorce would be clean. He forgot I kept every detail in my Gmail folders because I trusted him not to remember. Turns out, that was a gift in disguise. I added a spreadsheet column labeled, Cost of Loyalty, and I watched it grow. $97,226. That's what I spent over 5 years while adjusting my dreams. I qualified for restitution under unjust enrichment, which basically meant he rose because I knelt. And now it was time to calculate that climb. But I didn't stop there. I wanted respect, so I blocked his number, blocked his emails, filed the legal papers in a calm outfit, heels clicking like punctuation down a courtroom hallway. His lawyer reached out. Can we settle this quietly? I said. I was quiet when he packed his stethoscope and walked out. This is me talking now, legally. Then came the Facebook message. From her. She introduced herself all nice, like she didn't zip his jacket while I steamed it. Claimed she didn't know I even existed. Until she found our photos on his backup Google Drive. Could have told me that 5 years ago when she liked our honeymoon pictures. Same account. Now she wanted to talk woman to woman. I forwarded the message to my lawyer and had dinner alone in my clean apartment, windows open, bra off, freedom on loud. I never replied to her. Never replied to him either. Because some answers come in silence. And some messages are louder when they're not returned. See, Daniel thought success was departure. But real men build with, not after. He climbed off my back and onto a pedestal thinking I'd still clap. My silence. That was standing ovation, for me. Let him sit in an apartment he thought he'd afford alone. Let him explain to his new circle why his legal records show compensatory asset division granted to spouse. Let his medical degree hang pretty on the wall, right next to a bill with my name. By the time the court ruled, he wasn't wearing the same smirk. The man who used to walk like he owned the ground now sat with slouched shoulders, blinking too much and checking his phone like an emergency would get him out of this moment. There was no emergency. Just natural consequences. The judge confirmed the payout, full amount. Back pay for 5 years of financial support. Adjustments for professional growth during marriage. She even paused and looked at Daniel and said, You didn't just leave, you used, and now she reclaims. After court, he approached me. He said, You really meant to ruin me. I smiled. No, Daniel, I meant to remember me. Because that's what betrayal does, it doesn't kill you. It removes the mask you put on every morning to survive people who were never built to love you the way you loved them. I didn't go home and celebrate with champagne. I sat by the lake, ate French fries, watched ducks fight over nothing, and laughed for the first time in weeks. A clean laugh. One that didn't taste like pain on its way out. The next week, I resigned from the company I stayed at while waiting for his career to take off. I accepted my grad school offer, the one I declined 3 times over the last 5 years. Within 2 months, I moved. New place, new city. Peace I didn't have to shrink into. One day, I walked into a networking event for Black professionals, and a woman recognized me. She said, Weren't you the one he divorced after school? I raised my glass and said, Yes, and also the one who legally owns 30% of his rise. She smiled like I handed her a weapon. Because truth is a tool. And my life was finally mine to build, with my own tools. He texts me twice a year now. Once on his birthday. Once on mine. He says things like, Hope you're well. Or just wanted to say thank you for everything. I never got the chance. But you know what I never got. A real apology. And the beauty of it is, I no longer need one. Because healing is returning to the version of yourself that existed before they needed your silence to feel superior. Because forgiveness is giving up the hope for a better past and choosing a future that doesn't walk in his shadow. Because revenge is over in a moment. But restoration, that's lifetime work. And I'm doing it without him. If you've ever loved someone through their pain, if you've ever stood tall for someone who felt too small to fight, then you already know. Sometimes karma isn't a thing that comes later. Sometimes it shows up wearing the same face as the one he thought he could leave behind. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. Because even in silence, the truth has a voice.